Why can't we close this nation's borders to all but legal immigrants? Why is that so hard?
We don't have an immigration policy. Not only do we not have a southern border strategy, we don't have an immigration policy. I address it in the book, and the fact of the matter is that this has been the third rail of politics. But at the end of the day, people get made to make tough decisions, not just to cut ribbons. And hopefully, in the next year or two, we design one.
At the ports of entry, the federal goal is to detect and apprehend 30% of major illegal activity. And this shows the need for a three-tiered strategy, because the goal is to get 30% for many reasons. And we can go over that in more detail if you like, but it really boils down to a trade-off between how much time you can take to individually inspect and question every passenger and vehicle that passes through the border and still maintain a free flow of commerce.
With us are Richard Stana, Adam Hoffman, and Amy Scheller. Thank you for being here. We also have with us today Robert Gilford, Chief Patrol Agent for the Tucson sector, and members of his staff, so welcome. The purpose of this meeting is to hear firsthand from the authors of the GAO study and to get our questions answered. Now, there's a lot to digest in this study, and there's a lot that has to be done in order to implement the recommendations. Before we get started with the presentations and then to your questions and to your comments, I'd like to thank the members of the Checkpoint Work Group, many of whom are here today. I was just hoping you could stand and be recognized. You participated. Thank you. Glad to see you guys this morning. There was a divergent group in this Checkpoint, the working group. We know that. There was a variety of opinions stated. But I believe there was one strong consensus and one important recommendation. And that was to have an independent study of the effectiveness of checkpoints. So along with Senators McCain and Kyle, I initiated a request to the GAO to conduct this study. We were joined in this request by Senator John Cornyn from Texas, Congressman David Price, Bob Filner, Silva Reyes, and Cyril Rodriguez as well. So today we're going to hear from the study. You're going to have a chance to ask questions. We're also going to hear from Chief Gilbert and his staff. But I would like to get going as soon as possible because we have 2 hours, and I know that we have a lot on our minds. So with that, Rich, I'm going to turn the floor over to you to start making your presentation.
Well, thank you, Representative Giffords. I appreciate the opportunity to come here today and speak with you and with the members of the audience. It's not often, as you mentioned, that we get the chance to explain what our report is about and what it isn't about. All too often it happens through competing press articles. And as any press article is, it's not the whole story. I'm going to attempt today to summarize in about 15 or 20 minutes the 147-page report that you can find on Representative Giffords' website, or you can find it at www.gao.gov. It's there in its entirety, as all of our reports that are not classified are. We introduced Adam and Amy. There were 2 other members of the team. 3 other members of the team that participated in putting the report together. They could not be here today, but we'll try to answer any questions you have. With that, let me go to the first slide, and I want to make it very clear who GAO is, what GAO does. We are in the legislative branch of government. We are often called the eyes and the ears of Congress, or the Congressional Watchdog Agency. We have the statutory authority to follow appropriated funds wherever they go. And it's our job to see how well programs are working, what's working well, what's not working well, to provide information to decision makers on courses of action. We make recommendations, but I want to make it very clear, GAO does not make public policy. Public policy is made by Congress and the executive branch. Our role is to provide fact-based, clear, and actionable information for their decision making. On the next slide, these are the topics I want to go over very quickly. We're going to talk about our objectives, scope and methodology, background, the key findings, and our conclusions and recommendations. I won't spend a whole lot of time on the conclusions and recommendations because I understand they were handed out to you. And so you've seen them, and you have a chance to ask questions about them. As Representative Giffords mentioned, 3 senators and 5 representatives asked us to follow up on our 2005 report on checkpoints. And I believe we contacted some of you when we did that work. I know Gary Brasher, I met with you briefly. We never got to meet again, but I did stop by your office. But we had 4 major questions that we wanted to answer. How have the checkpoints contributed to Southwest border security? What measures are in place to monitor checkpoint performance? To what extent was community impact considered in checkpoint placement and design? And how have checkpoint operations impacted nearby communities? And I want to stress that we examined border checkpoints, interior checkpoints across the southwest border, not only the ones in the Tucson sector. So this is a much broader issue than just here. To address these objectives, we did quite a bit of work. This study took us about 13 months to do and report out on. We visited 15 checkpoints in all 4 southwest border states, 12 of the 32 permanent checkpoints we visited. We visited both permanent and tactical type checkpoints. We reviewed the criteria and the processes that the Border Patrol uses to design, place, and operate checkpoints. We assessed the reliability of Border Patrol information. We reviewed state, local law enforcement, public official, ranchers, private citizens. Basically, wherever we went, we tried to speak with people who were on various sides of the issues and had data that would be useful in our coming to our conclusions and recommendations. The next slide is simply a slide that we have in all of our presentations. There's something called GAGAS, Generally Accepted Government Auditing Standards, that all of our work has to apply to. It has to comply with. And that's what this slide is. I don't think I need to go. If you have a question about it, I can certainly answer it. In the interest of time, let me go on and give you some background on illegal border crossings. The Border Patrol has a 3-tiered border enforcement strategy, you probably know. There's the folks right on the line. There's a roving patrol some distance away from the border, but within reasonable proximity of the border, and there are checkpoints. There are over 17,000 Border Patrol agents on the southwest border, and there are nearly 20,000 Border Patrol agents nationwide. There are over 3,000 Border Patrol agents right here in the Tucson sector. Now, despite activities and efforts to control the border and illegal crossings, illegal activity continues. At the ports of entry, the federal goal is to detect and apprehend 30% of major illegal activity. And this shows the need for a 3-tiered strategy because the goal is to get 30% for many reasons. And we can go over that in more detail if you like, but it really boils down to a trade-off between how much time you can take to individually inspect and question every passenger and vehicle that passes through the border and still maintain a free flow of commerce. Get questions on this all the time from other members of Congress. Why does it take so long to cross the bridge in Detroit? How come I can't get my produce or just-in-time inventory in? If you shut down the border to have a extremely thorough inspection, you could literally shut down the border from free flow of commerce, trade, and passenger traffic. Between the ports of entry, illegal apprehensions are declining, but it's interesting to note, you'll see it on the next slide, that most of the apprehensions are happening right here in the Tucson sector. In fact, it's roughly half, you can tell from this bar graph. We have 3 fiscal years, 06, 07, 08. You can see that there's a decline. There are a number of reasons people give for this decline, not the least of which is the decline in our economic performance recently. But you can also see from this bar chart that Tucson is way above the other sectors in terms of illegal volume and apprehensions and seizures. Next slide. So what do these checkpoints do? And you probably know this, but they screen for illegal drugs, contraband, illegal aliens that are not caught either on the line by the Border Patrol or that come through the ports of entry. The Border Patrol agents at checkpoints have legal authority that other elements of the 3-tier strategy do not. Because they are fixed, announced, coordinated, they have the legal authority to, when stopping individuals, to check on their immigration status, because that is the goal. Unlike, I know some have proposed sobriety-type checkpoints where you just set them up at 10 a.m. and see what you can come up with in the first 2 hours and move to another road. Constitutionally, our understanding is that cannot be done. At the ports of entry, the federal goal is to detect and apprehend 30% of major illegal activity. And this shows the need for a 3-tiered strategy